A Butler County family is gearing up to showcase a piece of farming history. I'm Alex McAvica, reporting on the Rural Radio Network. Dave and Diana Rech of Ulysses, Nebraska are gearing up to showcase a Kitten threshing machine coming up on June 25th, and Dave joins us now. Dave, tell us a little bit more about this threshing machine that you guys have and the relation you have with the Kitten family.
Well, my grandmother's maiden name was Kitten, Kitten, and their great-grandfather had this manufacturing place in Ferdinand, Indiana, in the late 1800s and early 1900s. He made threshing machines. He made steam engines and maybe a couple other pieces of farm equipment, but it was all handmade basically, and I believe he had approximately 200 steam engines and maybe 180 or 90 threshing machines that he had made. And it's just a distant relative. It'd be I think a great uncle of mine or something like that. Mm-hmm. I never quite figured all that out, and there was one, in fact, shipped to Lawrence, Nebraska on the train. Some of the Kitten or Hillberg family used it there in Knuckles in Webster County. And that's about all I know, just little bits and pieces of it.
So, Dave, you were sharing with me before we came on air today that you guys are planning to pull this thresher machine out of your family's shed to showcase it with your family that'll be in town. I understand you will not be firing it up, but first of all, I guess, is that correct? And then tell me the story about where you guys got this piece of machinery from.
Yep.
And
I bought it from a man from Ferdinand, Indiana. His name was Francis Lindauer. He had it advertised, and I talked to him, called him on the phone, and I said, well, I'd like to have it, but I don't know how I'd get it, how I'd be able to get it. Well, a few months went by, and he called me back, and he says, me and my neighbor, we're going to Minnesota to a sale, and we'll just load it up and bring it out there to you. So that's how it got here. Those Lindauers, I believe at the time, they farmed some of the Kitten farm ground that was still in the Kitten family. This thing is approximately 100 to 120 years old. It's made out of wood. Mm-hmm. The later thrashing machines were all metal, but this has got wood sides and of course the shafts and things that do the actual work or steel. But for the most part, it's a wood machine.
If you're just joining us, we're visiting with Dave Rech of Ulysses, Nebraska in Butler County. Dave, for those who are just joining us, we're talking about you and your family going to showcase this piece of farming history, an old wooden Kitten thrashing machine. So for the listeners who might not have a visual of what this old thrasher machine does, describe how it worked.
It took the shocks of wheat. A machine went through the field called a binder, and it tied these the wheat into bundles, and then they pitched it on a rack. And this machine is basically stationary, and they pulled the rack up there, and they pitched the bundles into the machine, and it separated the grain from the chaff. The grain, it's like a stationary combine, which you see today.
What is it, Dave, for you that gets you excited about these older pieces of equipment, watching them work, thinking about how they worked, and the role that it played in what is now modern agriculture?
Well, it's just back 100 years ago, somebody had the intuition or the ideas to put this equipment together and make it work, and it's just amazing.
What else, Dave, is important to mention about this old thrasher machine that you guys are bringing out, or anything you didn't have a chance to touch on?
I think people would get a lot better idea of what we're talking about if they would Google that and watch it.
Very neat. A cool chance to get a little snippet of farming history here in Nebraska. Again, joining us, Dave Rech of Ulysses, Nebraska in Butler County. He and his family are gearing up to showcase that piece of farming history with the Kitten threshing machine that they have in their shed. It is mostly wooden, built by hand in Ferdinand, Indiana. I'm Alex Makovica from inside the Nebraska Soybean Board Studios, which is brought to you in part by Nebraska soybean farmers and their checkoff. You're listening to the Rural Radio Network.